Hello, I'm Julia. Thank you for listening to my string quartet number 2. In this video, I'm going to try and explain a little bit about what inspired it and my ideas. This was actually the first string quartet that I wrote. I wrote it before number 1, although it's been revised a little bit since then. But like quartet number 1, it started off as a series of repeating 16-bar sections, again built up from different lines that can all overlay each other but are swapped around between the parts and sometimes offset against each other. It deviates slightly from that structure in the middle, but that's the basic structure. So this one is a slow, very expressive piece. The mood is quite dark and brooding. There's something of Tchaikovsky in there. I think I was thinking of the ballet Onegin, for which Tchaikovsky's music was arranged. There's a bit of a feel of that. So it's quite dark. But as the piece progresses, these long, drawn-out lines become punctuated by shorter rhythmic patterns. And I'm interested in how that starts to change the mood, and also how you can change the harmony and the tonality, even within this structure of repeating blocks. So even though it keeps repeating, we effectively end up in a B section in the relative major, which is a bit brighter and contains these more rhythmic phrases. Even though we're moving through these different keys and getting brighter and louder, there's almost always a reference back to the opening in there somewhere. It never quite gets left behind. And of course, eventually we have to go back there. One of the ideas I love about music is the idea of returning home. And so often that's what it's all about, whether it's ternary ABA form or sonata form or rondo form. We almost always end up coming home. And how we experience that home is changed by where we've been in between. So even if that means coming back from a brighter section in the middle to a darker place, we still come home. And the link that gets us there is the only place where I've deviated from this 16-bar repeating structure in order to turn us back towards C sharp minor, the home key. And this link passage was very much inspired by a passage in the Schubert string quintet, which I was playing quite a lot at the time when I wrote this. So with apologies to Schubert, although while Schubert's moving towards the sun of the major, this link is obviously going in the other direction towards the minor. And when the opening eventually returns, it begins in a very quiet and slightly fragmented manner. So it's a very contemplative return. And it's only actually when the cello comes back in with the melody that it's clear where the first beat of the bar is, and that was intentional. It's intended to be slightly disorientated. But slowly, once this melody comes up, it works its way back up, and this really is where we get to the climax of the whole thing, with all 4 parts playing fortissimo. So that's really where we've been aiming, and then it dies away again. So although there's no overt story to the piece, there was nothing I particularly had in mind, it does have a bit of a narrative arc. I hope it does anyway. And as with quartet number 1, it was intended to stand on its own as a piece. But there is a reference to it in quartet number 4, in the opening melody. So quartets 1, 2, 3 and 4 could be grouped together to form a longer string quartet if you wanted. I hope you enjoy listening to this one and that this video has given you some insight into the ideas behind it. Thank you.